Well, hello and good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending upon where in the world that you are joining us from today. My name is Ron Hoppe. I am the CEO of WorldWide HealthStaff Solutions, and I am absolutely thrilled to be joined today by our good friends and colleagues from Rachell Allen Review, Dr. Rosemarie Pica, and Jeffrey De la Cruz. You'll be hearing from both of them as part of our presentation today, titled Preparing for and Achieving Your Very Best Future as an RN. I think the topic for today is very timely given the environment that we are currently in. And what I'm referring to specifically is the reality that the demand for experienced nurses around the world, including here in the United States, has never been greater than it is right now. And that's why we're using the word best. We want you to be able not only to be able to pursue your goals and dreams, but collectively with the Rachell Allen team and the WorldWide HealthStaff team, we want to spend this time with you and help you to put yourself in a position to have the very, very best outcome for you and your family as you pursue your personal and professional goals and dreams. I see that some of you that have joined us are already checking in the chat feature. Please feel free to use that throughout the presentation today. Towards the end, we'll have a question and answer period, and we'll answer as many questions as we can. But as I always like to do at the beginning of these types of sessions is invite everyone that's joined us to just take a moment and in the chat feature on your screen, just quickly type in where you're joining us from. It's always exciting for us to see the attendees from many, many different countries. So if you would be kind enough and just take a moment in the chat feature and just let us know where it is you're joining us from. One last thing, just really quickly, before we dive right into our content this morning or this evening, you'll see at the top of the chat feature is a little note. And one of the things that we've made available to all attendees today is if you have any questions or if you would like to learn about specific opportunities that may be available, you'll see a link there to a live recruiter. So we have someone from our recruiting team who is standing by, and if you click on that link, you'll be able to connect with them and have a live chat even while this presentation is taking place and after the presentation as well. So welcome to everyone who's joining us. We see we have attendees. Somebody is joining us from New York, from Haiti, from Ghana, from Philippines, from Saudi Arabia. So as always, it's just really exciting to have a truly global audience with us today. And thank you again for joining us. Let me also say, just by way of housekeeping, everyone who is attending today and everyone who actually registered for this event is going to receive an email within 24 hours that will provide you with a link to the recording of this session. It's obviously important so that you have the opportunity of reviewing any key information that you just need to, you want to make sure that what you heard is exactly correct. But even as important as that, please feel free to share that link with your friends and colleagues. Even if they weren't able to join us today, feel free to share that on your social media. Feel free to share that with your friends and colleagues. I'm sure they would appreciate that very much. So let us begin. I think it doesn't take much explanation to share with you the notion that in 2022, nursing truly is a global career. If you are in the Philippines or if you are in a country in Africa, if you are somewhere maybe in Eastern or Western Europe, nursing is a global career. And while nurses have opportunities today in the Middle East, in Europe, increasingly in Europe, we see, and the experience that we have had is that still the ultimate destination for most international nurses remains the United States. And I'm going to take just a few moments and just recap some of the high points of reasons to consider the United States as you're evaluating the opportunities in front of you. The first one, and it is a major point, and it's one that I will emphasize strongly, and that is nurses who come to the U.S. arrive as permanent residents. You are not here on a work visa, a work permit. You're not here on some sort of visa that needs to be renewed. You will arrive as a permanent resident, which means that as long as you are in the United States as a permanent resident, your visa never expires. It never needs to be renewed. And after 5 years in permanent residency status, you can in fact apply for U.S. citizenship. There is a clear path to citizenship, not only for you, but for your entire immediate family, which would include your spouse and unmarried children up until the age of 21. So this, when you're considering the UK, you're considering other opportunities, other countries, almost all of those, you will be arriving there on some sort of a temporary visa or temporary permit. Whereas in the United States, you have the opportunity of arriving on day one as a permanent resident. Your family is able to accompany you. If you have a spouse, they are able to work in any occupation. So this is a fundamental key advantage that the United States has to offer over most other countries. Nursing in the United States remains a very highly respected profession. I know that in some parts of the world, registered nurses are seen sort of as just sort of helpers within the healthcare system. But in the United States, nursing is indeed a highly, highly respected occupation. More reasons to consider the U.S. Attractive compensation and benefits. I think that point speaks for itself, right? If you are going to relocate yourself and your family halfway around the world, it is going to be so that you can have a better future. And the future is indeed bright for you and your family based on the professional occupation of nursing in the United States. There's almost nowhere you can go in the U.S. today where you will not encounter a large Filipino community. So I know when we first started this work 20 plus years ago, almost 25 years ago now, Dr. Pica, seems almost impossible, but it has been that long. 25 years ago, there were large Filipino communities in Southern California. There was large Filipino communities in New York, New Jersey. But today, you are just as likely to run into a large Filipino community in Charlotte, North Carolina, and in places such as Dallas, Texas, as you are in Los Angeles, California. So there are large Filipino communities available nationwide. And I think that comment can be extended really to all nationalities as the U.S. becomes an increasingly diverse country with immigrants from many countries arriving in increasing numbers. Lastly, the American dream is alive and well. We hear this phrase, American dream. What does American dream really mean? Aside from we think America is a better place than where we are now. The concept of American dream really has at its core the belief and the philosophy that if you work hard and live responsibly, that you will have the opportunity to advance and improve yourself and improve the circumstances of your family. The American dream really speaks to opportunity. Opportunity for you, opportunity for your children and your children's children, and the American dream is alive and well. If you work hard and if you live responsibly, you have the opportunity to enjoy a fantastic life, not only economically, but socially and personally as well. In 2022, the American dream is alive and well. Just a couple of things I want to touch on in the theme of positioning yourself to pursue and to obtain the best opportunities for your future. A key aspect that U.S. employers focus on is on what is the experience of the candidate in front of them. What is the experience of the candidate in front of them? In the United States today, no doubt there is a significant nursing shortage, but that shortage isn't uniform across the spectrum of the workforce by age. The number of new graduates in the United States is at an all-time record high, and most employers are able to hire new graduates without having to look abroad. Healthcare employers, whether it's hospitals, long-term care facilities, are primarily focused on, of course, you have to have passed the NCLEX, and our Rachell and friends are going to get you ready for that in a minute here. But work experience, it's whether you have 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, experience matters. And we will talk just a little bit more about that. Not only does experience matter, but U.S. employers put the strongest emphasis on what is your current experience. Honestly, we sometimes get contacted by applicants that say, I have 7 years of med-surg experience, please find me a great job. Okay, sounds good. But when we look at the resume, that 7 years of med-surg experience was 6 years ago, and you've been working in the family business since that time. Now, it doesn't invalidate that experience. That's good experience, but it is not going to be considered as strongly as experience that is current and ongoing. So if you are in a nursing position, whatever it is, stay there. Don't leave. Don't quit. Even if there's other opportunities in the short term that may appear to be more appealing to you, ultimately, the stronger and the more current your experience is, the better the opportunity you will be able to secure for yourself. When you see opportunities posted that say no experience required, that to me is always a first sign that you need to be extremely cautious, and to really investigate what that opportunity is all around, because we work with literally hundreds of U.S. healthcare employers every day. Some of the biggest names in healthcare that are household names that we work with. And I can assure you, none of them call us and say, can you find us nurses with no experience? It doesn't happen. So that's an important point. The other thing that I would just encourage you to get educated on is this notion that we have shared for many years, and that is that all job offers are not created equal. We'll talk about that in a second, and we'll explore the differences between direct hire or direct placement job opportunity versus other opportunities that you will certainly come across in your deliberations as you consider your options. Qualifications, I think these are probably familiar to all of you, IELTS or TOEFL, NCLEX, obviously, and visa screen. Very common question we get is, can you help me find a job off an employer now, and then I'm going to take NCLEX? Well, the answer is, yeah, we could help you find an employer, but we're not going to do that because it really accomplishes very little. Think of, and I use this example, and Dr. Pica has heard me use it. Maybe it's not the greatest example, but hopefully it resonates with you. Think about having the car of your dreams. whatever it is, car, truck, SUV, Mercedes, Benz, Lamborghini, whatever it is. Imagine you have the car of your dreams. Okay. I would equate the job offer, having a job offer, to having that car. It looks great. It's shiny. You know, your friends are all impressed. But the problem is the car doesn't have an engine. You're not going anywhere. It looks good, but it's not going to help you get anywhere. And the engine that makes that car go is the NCLEX exam. So, NCLEX exam, job offer, not the other way around. You can have 10 job offers. Without the NCLEX exam, you're not going anywhere. Just like that car without the engine isn't going anywhere, neither are you. At WorldWide HealthStaff, we recruit NCLEX passers who have not yet passed IELTS or TOEFL. They can do that while their immigration process is underway. Likewise, you will require a visa screen certificate, and I'll let Dr. Pica and Jeffrey perhaps touch on that. Again, we don't require that at the time of interview, but obviously it is a requirement of the process before you show up for your embassy interview. Again, all job offers are not created equal. There's no secret message here. This title to this slide means exactly what it says. All job offers are not the same. Just because it says job offer at the top of the page, it doesn't mean that what comes after it is the same. And that's the important part. Things that I would draw to your attention and encourage you to explore and get very, very informed on is the differences between a direct hire, a job placement, versus a staffing agency or a travel nurse type of model. Both of these are legitimate models, but they are different. And those differences can be very significant. At WorldWide HealthStaff, our approach has been singularly for 24 years to focus on the direct hire model, because we believe this provides you, the applicant, with the greatest amount of stability, the greatest amount of assurance that you know exactly where you're going to be placed. You can make plans to establish your family there. You can be absolutely confident that you will receive the same pay and the same benefits as all other similarly qualified staff. So on the WorldWide HealthStaff website, in the applicant section, we have some great free resources there where you can spend some time, and I would encourage you to do so, just as you spend time preparing for NCLEX, to inform yourself about the differences between direct hire and staffing agency. The last thing that I will say in this regard to be on the lookout for, many offers are enticing by saying we offer everything for free, or we offer this for free, or the other thing for free. You have to ask yourself, is free really free, right? No one that is in the recruitment field is doing this work for free. Nobody. Rachell Allen isn't providing NCLEX review for free, right? So when someone says something is free, I would encourage you to say, all right, it's free to me today, but how am I going to pay? Am I going to pay later? How much am I going to pay? Is it going to be salary deduction, or am I going to get a lower hourly rate? And look, I want to be very respectful. I understand the great financial burden and the great financial requirements that go into preparing for NCLEX and getting through the U.S. immigration process. I understand that. I'm not being critical in the least. I'm just encouraging everyone to be cautious. And if there is any path that you have where you do not have to pursue this free, ultimately maybe even in the short term, but maybe in the medium to longer term for certain, I believe strongly that you will ultimately be better off financially. Just lastly, before I turn it over to our friends at Rachell Allen, I just want to let you know that Worldwide Health Staff is your global recruiter. We focused the comments so far this morning primarily on, the ultimate opportunity, which is the United States. But here at Worldwide Health Staff, with our teams that we have there in the Philippines, as well as our office that we have in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, we are your global recruiter. We can help you pursue and obtain employment in the Gulf region. We are about to be able to help you support employment in UK and in Europe, and of course, most certainly in the United States. So even if your plans today don't include the United States, if your plans today include maybe an in-between step, I just want to let you know that Worldwide Health Staff is your global recruiter, and we can support you wherever your next destination may be. So with that, I will conclude my comments, and it's with great pleasure and always with excitement that I would like to introduce to everyone. And she probably needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce Dr. Rosemarie Pica from Rachell Allen, a good friend, a good colleague, and Dr. Pica, thank you as always for partnering with us. And I will turn the session over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ron, for that wonderful presentation. And it's always been a pleasure and an honor, partnering with you and Worldwide Health Staff, one of the most credible companies, that we are very happy to work with. Okay. And thank you so much. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all of you. Okay, so to all of you who are attending this webinar, thank you so much for taking the time. And I'm Dr. Rosemarie Pica. I'm the Managing Director of Rachell Allen. And together with me here is Jeffrey De la Cruz, who's the Academic Manager for Rachell Allen. And together, we're going to present to you, okay, first, I will be sharing with you things about from the application side to NCLEX preparation to IELTS. And Jeffrey later, okay, will be sharing with you what do you need to expect with the next generation NCLEX, okay? And how does NCLEX, decides whether you're going to pass or to fail. So to begin with, okay, so Rachell Allen is, of course, one of the most well-known review programs, okay, and our mastery, of course, is the NCLEX, but we also provide programs for the UK, also for the Prometric, for DHA, and right now, okay, we all know that if you pass the NCLEX, you are now also convertible to a HUD or the DHA license. Now, to begin our presentation, okay, why take the NCLEX now? So if you listen carefully to, Ron's presentation, that is so very exciting and, very enticing. Those of you who are looking forward to your American dream, now is the best time to take the NCLEX because opportunities are available everywhere for international nurses in the US. And the only thing that you need to do, of course, not only to have an experience, but of course, that is to pass your NCLEX. Now, what are the factors that you need to consider, okay, when applying for your NCLEX? So when it comes to the application part, okay, we have also the company named Apply Ready Corporation, which is also under Rachell Allen. And I'm also the president for Apply Ready. Now, what are the factors that you need to consider when applying for the NCLEX? First, you need to determine first what state you would like to apply to. And the requirements vary per state. Now, what are those requirements? Oh, look at the screen. First is your social security number. There are states who still require that. The date of your graduation. Okay, the English professional or proficiency exam, which is the IELTS or the TOEFL. And there are states that require you to present your employment or current hospital experience, especially if you've been graduate for a long time. So those are some of the requirements. Now, let's take a look at some of the sample Board of Nursing that you can apply to and the requirements that they have. Now, first of all, we chose 5 of the most commonly applied to states in the US, and that would be Illinois, New York, New Mexico, Saipan, and Texas. Now, let's take, for example, and these 5 states, we chose them because they do not require your SS number. Okay, they do not require an SS number before they give you the eligibility to take the exam. Okay, first Illinois. Illinois and also all these states do not require IELTS or TOEFL prior to taking the exam. Again, prior to taking the exam. But if you're talking of your visa screen, all of the states will require you to take the IELTS. Are we clear? Otherwise, they will not be processing your visa. But again, prior to taking the exam, you will get your eligibility even without the IELTS or the TOEFL. Okay, but what are the differences between Illinois, New York, New Mexico, Saipan, and Texas? So Illinois does not require hospital experience, but if you fail within 3 years, 3 times, you'll now be required to take a what we call a refresher course. And where do you take that refresher course? You take it on a credible and an accredited university in the US. Okay, Rachell Allen is a review course. We are not a refresher course provider. Okay, those that can give you the refresher course are the universities or the community colleges that are accredited by the NCSBN or the Board of Nursing. Now, New York. Okay, this is the most popular state where you can apply right now. Why? It does not only require SS number, it does not require IELTS prior to taking the exam. It does not also require hospital experience, and you can take it several times and they will not require you to take a refresher course. But of course, at Rachell Allen, the goal is to take it one time. Got it? Okay? The goal is to pass the NCLEX as soon as possible. Now, New Mexico, on the other hand, does not require, again, SS number or IELTS. And within the past 4 years, if you are going to take the NCLEX, if you graduated for the past 4 years, they will now require you a hospital experience. Okay? And Saipan, the same thing, will not require you an SS number nor IELTS. But if you have been graduate for 10 years, they are expecting you to be working as as a nurse already in your country of origin. So they will be requiring you a COE or Certificate of Employment. And if you've been graduate for more than 5 years, they are now going to require you to attend a refresher course before they give you the eligibility. Now, Texas, no SSN required, no IELTS required. But again, like New Mexico, if you graduated for more than 4 years, they're now going to require you a Certificate of Employment or hospital experience. So looking at all these boards of nursing, okay, where is the best place to apply? It's New York right now. Okay? Now, if you want to, know if you're eligible for New York or any of the Board of Nursing, okay, we at Apply Ready, we provide a free pre-assessment or pre-evaluation assessment, okay? Now, when it comes to the process or the phases of NCLEX application, now keep in mind that this is not an easy process, okay? Now, it takes quite a while. When I say quite a while, I'm talking of somewhere between 4 to 6 months, and some even take up to 12 months. And it depends on how fast you complete your requirements or which Board of Nursing you apply to. Now, first of all, you have to choose the preferred Board of Nursing. If it is New York, okay, then you have to make up your mind. Then you're going to have to go through the credential evaluation phase of the CGFNS. And good news is that New York does not require that at all. Okay? You may go through. Okay? Now, to make the process easier, you don't have to go through that. Now, eligibility phase, you have to wait for that. And once you have the eligibility, that's the only time you can apply for the authority to take the test. And that ATT, okay, may take somewhere up to a few days to a few weeks. Okay, mine, when I took my NCLEX more than 15 years ago, I only waited for around 2 days. Okay, after 48 hours, I got my ATT. But right now, it depends on your location, or it depends on a lot of things. Now, number 5, exam scheduling phase. You're going to have to choose your date of exam. And please do not forget the date and time of your exam. Okay, why? I had a student who forgot her date of exam. What happens? It's going to be forfeited. Okay? She thought that her exam was like February 12, and her exam was February 11. Okay? And so she had to apply once more. She had to pay once again for her ATT, and she had to schedule an exam again. Okay? It's doable, but it's costly. All right? So don't forget your exam date. Now, okay. Now, again, at Apply Ready Corporation, okay, we provide a free pre-screening, meaning before we even accept your credentials, do we first evaluate if you are eligible for the state of your choice. Yes, if not, we're going to direct you to another state, okay, where your credentials will fit. Because why? It doesn't matter where you apply, any state in the US, it doesn't matter, okay, as long as you pass your NCLEX. And what matters is that you pass your NCLEX, and later where you're going to work, okay, you're just going to have to endorse your license. Are we clear? Okay. So for you to avail of this free pre-screening by Apply Ready for your credentials, you may log on to www.rachellallen.com/apply ready. Okay. So don't worry. You're going to receive a copy of this presentation as mentioned by Ron earlier, and you feel free to share it with your colleagues. All right. Now, let me go over just some of a common NCLEX myths, or when you say myth, these are not true. Okay. Let me tell you up front, these are not true. So, okay, if somebody tells you that if NCLEX is more difficult in a certain state, that's not true. Okay. You can take the NCLEX on any state and the same questions will come out. Why? They only have a certain unified Q bank, and NCLEX, okay, will be is what we call a computer adaptive test, and it will depend on your own personal weakness and strengths. That will depend on you what questions will come out in your exam. Now, NCLEX is different depending on the state or country. That's not true. You can take it in the Philippines. You can take it in India. You can take it in UK, in the US. Okay, it is the same. The pool of questions are the same. Okay. Now, NCLEX became easier because there are lesser items. That's not true. Because why? Okay, the NCSBN only shortened the amount of time, which is used to be 6 hours, now it's 5 hours. And the amount of maximum questions before is 265. Now it's only 145. Now, and that started when the pandemic happened, just to lessen the exposure of the people who are working there and also who are taking the exams. Now, next myth, I need to memorize all nursing concepts to pass the NCLEX. That's impossible. Okay? I can tell you that's not possible. But what do we do at Rachell Allen? We help you understand those concepts so you don't need to memorize everything. Why? Because the passing level of questions in the NCLEX are not those memorization types of questions, but those that are decision making. All right. So you need to be confident and know your concepts well to be able to pass the NCLEX. Now, first time takers usually fail. That's not true. We have a lot of students who take it the first time and they passed. Okay. There are even students from Nigeria, from India, from Nepal, okay, from Puerto Rico, all over the world, from the Philippines, and they take it one time. Some were even graduates 35, 36 years ago. So you don't tell me I graduated 10 years ago. It doesn't matter. Okay. Go through the Rachell Allen course and you will pass your NCLEX. Okay. Now, I graduated a long time ago. So let me tell you this. Okay. It doesn't matter when you graduated. It is not, okay, a hindrance to your passing the NCLEX. Research questions are graded. No, they are just what we call experimental questions. Actually, the recent takers, especially in the US, told us that the next generation NCLEX questions are already there, but only as experimental, not graded. All right? Okay. Now, okay, for your current concerns, okay, when you ask us when is the best time to review, okay, first we ask the students, do you already have your application? Because we're not going to tell you to, start reviewing if you don't have started yet your application process, which takes sometimes from 4 months to 6 months to 10 months. Okay, that's why first things first, you have to apply to your board of nursing. Okay, then the best time to review is once your application is ongoing already, and schedule your NCLEX after you've been through the review and mastered your concepts. Now, after you pass your NCLEX, do you need to sit for your IELTS exam? Yes, Rachell Allen will also prepare you for that, okay? Our Perfect 9 IELTS review course have helped all our NCLEX passers get that required band score, okay? And after you sit for the IELTS and you pass your IELTS, you can now apply for your visa screen, and we all turn you over to Ron immediately, okay, and his team. Now, okay. Now remember, guys, Rachell Allen, okay, whether you are from Nigeria, whether you are from the US, from Saudi Arabia, or wherever you are in the entire universe, as long as you have a Wi-Fi, you can attend the Rachell Allen courses now. And you have a choice because we're online and we're live, okay? Let me tell you, we're not recorded. We are a real time, okay? We explain the concepts right here and there in a webinar type of lecture like this one, okay? So as long as you have a Wi-Fi, you have a choice between US time and the Philippines time. Now, what do you need to know about the IELTS? Just quickly, all right, based on our research for the Perfect 9. Okay, what is the needed score for the IELTS for your visa screen? Okay, I saw somebody from Nigeria, okay, say her score about the IELTS. Now, for your information, you need an overall score of 6.5 and a speaking course of 7. Why? As a professional, as a nurse, should your patients be able to understand the instructions that you're going to give them? Yes. Should you be able to understand the doctor's orders or your client's complaints? Yes. Should you be able to give a good health teaching to your clients? Of course. Okay. And what is the needed band score for TOEFL? It's overall 84 and speaking 26. Now, what is the difference? Okay, going back, sorry. What is the difference between the IELTS academic and general training? IELTS academic is needed for professionals like nurses, okay? While general training is only for those who are only applying for immigrant visas like Canada or any other country, okay? Now, as nurses, you have to pass the academic IELTS, okay? Now, validity of your IELTS and TOEFL are both 2 years, and that's why we extremely encourage our clients to take the IELTS and then apply for the visa screen right away. Why? Because the visa screen has a validity of 5 years. And where do you take the IELTS? Either in the British Council, or the IDP. All right. Okay. So now, guys, I hope that you know now how Rachel Allen will be able to help you from from your application to your Board of Nursing, to NCLEX preparation, to IELTS preparation, and to your visa screen. Before we hand them over, before we hand you over to Mr. Ron Hoppe to place you all in the US. Okay? And now I'm going to hand you over to Mr. Jeffrey De la Cruz to tell you more about, okay, the NCLEX next generation. But before that, okay, let me remind everybody that there are, scammers all over the world that are trying to copy the Rachel Allen website. Okay, so look at the scam or the fake website. It is www.rachelallennclex.com. We don't have that kind of website. Our credible and legitimate website is www.rachelallen.com. Okay, again, the legitimate website is www.rachelallen.com. And the scam alert fake accounts, okay, in the Facebook is the Rachel Allen with an E, okay, and NCLEX. And our real account, okay, the real accounts are this one, okay, Rachel Allen NCLEX Review and Rachel Allen. Please take note, okay, the official accounts of Rachel Allen, the credible accounts are Rachel Allen NCLEX Review and Rachel Allen Philippines, where we post our passers. Okay? All right. So thank you all very much. And I'm now going to hand you over to Jeffrey for the next generation NCLEX. So, Jeffrey, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Pica. Thank you, Ron Hoppe, for that wonderful talk. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Good morning, good evening to the other parts of the world, right? So, this topic is very interesting. It's very challenging because this is something new for all of us, right? And most of you are awaiting this type of important information, okay? Because come 2023, or technically come next year, there will be a good modification or enhancement on the actual NCLEX exam. And that is what we call the next generation NCLEX. Okay, if you're going to be asking me what was the rationale or the reason by NCSBN, why did they come up with this idea? Okay, they had a research technically that they found out that roughly about 65% of errors that have committed by new nurses on the clinical setup should have been corrected if these nurses have utilized a proper decision making or critical thinking activity, right? And with the help of the next generation NCLEX, these students will now be evaluated properly in terms of enhancing their critical thinking ability. And in that sense, by evaluating that part of knowledge of these students, right, we're going to be able to protect the public very, very well and make sure to provide the best outcomes, not only for the patient, but also to other healthcare institutions. So I repeat, the purpose of our next generation NCLEX is to make sure that we are really testing on or evaluating the level of critical thinking of each nurses that's going to be taking the actual NCLEX examination. Okay? So if you're going to be asking me, Sir Jeffrey, okay, would there be a big difference in terms of how they're going to be evaluating the actual NCLEX exam? I just want to make things very, very clear. I want to make this clear. There is no new NCLEX. What's going to be happening is simply about an enhancement or modification of the recent or the current NCLEX examination. So I repeat, there is no new NCLEX coming by next year, but rather there will be an enhancement or improvement of the current NCLEX exam that we are currently having right now. And with that said, at that part, meaning the NCLEX come next year will just be utilizing the same way of evaluating student, and that is with the help of our computer adaptive testing, meaning for them to know if you pass or fail the actual examination, they're going to be using this program, computer adaptive test, to see your current standing while taking the exam. Okay, so to make it simple for you, if we talk about your computer adaptive testing from the term itself, the computer will adapt depending on how you answer a question. For example, okay, if your first question is moderate and you got it right, through the help of our computer adaptive testing, most probably your next question will be more difficult, right? But if, for example, you answered a moderate question on a wrong perspective, you got it incorrect, for example. So, with the help of our computer adaptive testing, the next question that you may have will be an easier one, right? So that's how it works. I repeat, if you answered a moderate question correctly, right, and the computer interpreted that the right way, your next question will be difficult, right? But if you got a moderate question incorrect, okay, so most probably your next question will be a bit easier one. So that's how your computer adaptive testing works. Okay. If you're going to be asking me what's the minimum number of items right now and the maximum number of items, just like what Dr. Pica told you earlier, the minimum number of items right now is 75, maximum 145. And currently, we are utilizing your computer adaptive testing. For the last time, the computer will adapt depending on how you answer a specific type of question during the examination. Okay, so in relation to that, it's very, very important for us to understand the level of question difficulty that you may encounter on the test. Okay, I want to be honest with you. Okay, if you want to pass the test, do not pray, do not wish for easy questions. Okay, because critical thinking questions, decision making questions are not considered to be easy. They are considered to be under challenging questions. And as you can see on the presentation, we have laid out to you, right, in a very perfect manner, your level of question difficulty. We have your remembering, your understanding, your application, and analysis, okay? And if we're going to be looking deeply on the presentation, right, remembering and understanding are typically considered to be under the category of easy questions, okay? Meaning, if we're going to be receiving a lot of this, right, you are just answering very basic, right, questions related to the nursing knowledge. What we want for you to be able to pass the test is for you to be exposed with a lot of questions under application and analysis, because these are the questions that are considered to be under the passing level, meaning these questions are really trying, right, to evaluate your critical thinking and decision making ability as a nurse. So for you to be able to pass a test, we want you to be exposed with your application and analysis type level of questioning. Okay, so here's the most recent update that NCSBN released in terms of our next generation. And I want you to look at the table very, very well. Okay, so this is a good comparison of the recent NCLEX examination and the next generation NCLEX that will be applied come by next year, 2023. As you can see on the board, if we talk about time allowed, okay, technically the number of hours for the NCLEX exam will be generally the same. It's about 5 hours, okay? For the delivery method, I told you that it will just be the same. It's your computer adaptive testing. So by next year, they will still use the same scoring scale, and that will be your computer adaptive testing. Okay, next one. In terms of your pass or fail decision rules, right, as you can see on the presentation, they're going to be utilizing the same technique, meaning they're going to be using your confidence interval rule, the root, or what we call your run out of time, and the maximum to minimum number of items. Okay, the big change that you will notice on the NCLEX, right, come next year is the number of items that you will receive. Since they're going to be now injecting some or inserting some nursing clinical judgment measurement model questions, the questions on the actual test will a bit be higher, right? Right now, currently we have minimum 75, maximum 145, right? But come next year, because of the insertion of the new set of questions, right, the minimum will now be 85, maximum 150 questions. So Jeffrey, what's the reason why there will be a somewhat increase in the number of questions by next year? As you can see on the table, right, they're going to be now introducing questions on their case studies. These are unfolding questions that each students will going to be receiving on the first minimum number of items on the test. And technically, there are 3 case studies that you're going to be receiving, right, on the first 85 questions on your actual exam come next year. So meaning roughly about there are a total of 18 questions, right, on those 3 case studies that you're going to be dealing with on the actual test. Okay, so if you're going to be asking me, Dr. Pica told earlier that there are experimental questions, right? And as you can see on the table, these are what we call your unscored or pretest items. That is why the only thing that will be scored, right, as of today will be minimum 60 to 130 questions. And come next year, the total scored items will just be playing around 70 to 135. Whether NCLEX today or the next generation NCLEX, they're just going to be giving you 15 unscored or 15 pretest questions, or what we call 15 experimental questions. So to sum it up with you, to make it simple for you, is there a new NCLEX? No. But is there an enhancement of the NCLEX, improvement of the NCLEX? No. Yes, right? Good. So in this case, we're going to be now moving on to the next slide. Okay? Here are the comparative table regarding the existing questions that NCLEX is currently having right now in comparison to the next generation NCLEX type of question. And I'm going to be showing with you these examples one by one. Are you excited? I'm now going to be giving you the actual format of the question that you may encounter, okay, come on your next generation NCLEX. Are you ready? Let's do this, okay? First type of question that you may encounter is this, your extended multiple response, okay? To make it simple for you, this is simply about an enhanced select auto apply, because right now your select auto apply displays around 5 to 6 options, but in your extended multiple response, they just have added more options, right, in terms of the question being given to you. So that is your extended multiple response. Next one is your extended drag and drop. Similar with the current drag and drop on the actual test, a bit of modification, right, have been added up, right? So right now, in your next generation NCLEX, in your drag and drop, there are just more options, but here's the thing. Not all the options can be utilized, right, on these answers for the specific question. I repeat, there are more options on the drag and drop, but not all options will be utilized or can be utilized on that specific type of question. Okay. Next one is your closing item. Okay. As you can see on the board, the closing item are type of questions wherein you need to click the drop down list, and there you will see the options where you need to choose from the right response on the given question. So this is a very good example of your closing item, a drop down list, and once the list went down, there are options provided to you, and all you need to do is to click that option, and that will be your answer. Okay. Next one is your enhanced hotspot. If we talk about enhanced hotspot, it's simply about highlighting essential phrases, statements, or information that you are required to do so depending on what's being asked on the question. I repeat, if we talk about enhanced hotspot, it's simply about a type of question wherein you will be required to highlight a specific word, set of statements, or information that needs follow-up, for example, that requires attention, for example, or needs focus by the nurse depending on what's being asked on the case scenario. Okay? Another one is your matrix grid. Okay? As you can see, this is a type of question wherein you can choose a specific set, okay, of option depending on the presenting or presented information to you by the question. So this is a very good example of testing really the critical thinking ability of students. Okay, so this is what we call your matrix or grid type of question. Another type of question that you may encounter on the next generation NCLEX is what we call your bow tie, because it literally looks like a bow tie, right? So in this case, you're going to be dragging and dropping, right, the options required on the scenario. Like, for example, there are actions to take in here. So what you need to do is to simply drag down the appropriate actions to take based on the client's problem, right? Drag on the condition that most likely the client is experiencing, depending on the case scenario that you can find on the left side of the screen, in your computer screen, and parameters to monitor, meaning what are the assessment areas that you need to check or evaluate depending on the case of the question, right? And the last type of question that you may encounter on the actual next generation NCLEX is what we call your trend item. It's trend because it's a succession of data that you need to synthesize or collate for you to be able to understand and get the right answer. I repeat, if we talk about a trend item, it is a series of information. It is a succession of information wherein you will be required to synthesize and collate and understand and apply based on what's being asked on the question. And technically, these are the most exciting question formats that will come next year in your next generation NCLEX. And for sure, most of you are so excited, right, to experience the new and the next generation NCLEX come 2023. Will be Rachel Allen ready to help you for the next generation NCLEX? Super duper yes, right? Because since 2019, we are already religiously working with all the innovations and adaptations to the new and the current NCLEX, okay? So for more information about our programs and our services, you may email us at inquiries@rachellallen.net. Again, inquiries@rachellallen.net. You can contact us also with our mobile, Viber, or WhatsApp number. It's 0917-503-2252. I repeat, it's 0917-503-2252. And please visit our official website. It's www.rachellallen.com. I repeat, visit our official website. It's www.rachellallen.com. And if you have any further question, you may ask during the Q&A portion. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Have a great night.
Jeffrey, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Pica. Thank you. Jeffrey, I'm curious what you had for dinner today, because I'd like to have that amount of energy at 9 o'clock in the evening. It was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. So at this point, we do want to take a little bit of time to respond to questions that have come in over the course of this presentation. As it turns out, we're almost never able to respond to all of the questions, but I'll ask Tracy to help guide us through perhaps some of the more common questions that have come in, and we'll take a few minutes to respond to those now.
Excellent. Thank you, Ron. Hello, everybody. I'm Tracy Drake, Manager of Communications and Marketing, WorldWide HealthStaff Solutions. And it's great to have this panel here today. Very informative, very educational. And I'm going to pull a couple questions from the chat. This is a great time. If you have that question on the top of your mind, just plug it in the chat over there on the side. And, you know, whether it's about getting NCLEX or even you've already got NCLEX and you're ready for the next steps, maybe you're considering a move to the United States, really, this is a good time to do so. I'm going to go ahead and pull one of the questions right now. And this question we see a lot. This is a question probably best for you, Ron, and it's about the immigration process. How long does the immigration process take after receiving an offer?
Right. Yeah, that is a common question. It's a fair question. And the answer is, you know, processing times vary. Now, let me answer the question more directly. Presently, we are seeing processing times in the range of 18 months. That is longer than what we were seeing pre-pandemic. And as the pandemic subsides and is increasingly, hopefully, in our rearview mirror, we're hoping that those processing times will return to 15 months and then back to closer to 12 months. Now, that 12 months is from the time that your immigration, or 18 months, whatever it is, that time is calculated from the time that your petition is filed until the time that you get your visa. Let me just say one more thing about timeline. So a timeline depends upon a number of things, right? We all think it's just how fast or slow the government is working, and that certainly is an important part of it. But we, as your recruitment partner, and you as the applicant, also have shared responsibility when it comes to processing time. At our end here, we've worked to develop systems and processes and process improvements so that we can move every application as quickly through the process as can be done. But that also requires the cooperation of each applicant to ensure that you're providing documents timely as they are requested, to ensure that you're passing the IELTS exam in a timely and appropriate time frame, that you have visa screen, so that there's no delays caused throughout the process as a result of not having some of those things. So to answer the question, we're seeing about 18 months. We're anticipating that's going to come in a little bit, get to be a little bit shorter. And, part of the process in ensuring that you can get here in the shortest possible time is working very closely, collaboratively, and even proactively with whoever your recruitment partner is. And here at WorldWide HealthStaff, it is the highest priority for us.
Excellent. And here's a question for Dr. Pica and Jeffrey. This comes from an attendee from Haiti. And I imagine the process wouldn't be different for any country around the world, but I'll let you elaborate. And the question is, being from Haiti, how can I apply for NCLEX with Rachell Allen? Is there any differences between locations?
Okay, let me answer that. Thank you, Tracy. And whether you're from Haiti or from everywhere all over the world, now, like I said earlier, you can go through our website, www.rachellallen.com. Okay, and you'll see a button there that says pre-assessment or pre-evaluation for your application. So we'll be able to do a free assessment of your credentials, and then we'll guide you from there. Okay, because we need to know first what is your current educational attainment. Okay, where do you want to apply to, what board of nursing, and those things. You'll have to answer a form there that would help us evaluate whether you are eligible for that state that you want to apply to, and we will of course suggest what state you can apply to. So it's a general process, whether you're from Philippines, whether you're from India, whether from you're all over the world. There is a standard way of applying for the NCLEX, and we can guide you step by step. Just log on to www.rachellallen.com and / NCLEX application. Okay, so thank you so much for that, Tracy. I hope I was able to answer the question.
Absolutely. Thank you. Next question. Do we need to include past work experiences that is not related to nursing? I think they're talking about a resume. So non-nursing experiences. Should that be included?
Yeah, assuming this isn't experience from 25 years ago, generally I would say yes. I think it is beneficial to indicate sort of the continuity of your employment history and not leaving out non-nursing employment, which would obviously create gaps on your resume. So I think as a best practice, I would encourage everyone to include all of your employment history to show the continuity and the path of your experience over time to the current day.
Thank you. Got a question about Carnegie Education Evaluation. Can the Carnegie Education Evaluation be used for NCLEX processing in place of CES or CGFNS?
Absolutely not. Okay, because why? The US have their own credentials evaluation process. Okay, so if you want to apply to the US, you have to go through either the CGFNS, okay, if it is required by the Board of Nursing, or directly to the Board of Nursing like New York. Okay, but the Carnegie is not something that is required for the NCLEX. Okay, so you have to go through CGFNS CES.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. Now we do use the Carnegie Educational Evaluation as part of our immigration petition filing, And what we have found is by including that evaluation, we are getting far fewer requests for additional evidence or RFEs from USCIS actually questioning the educational background of the candidate. So it is a small investment that we strongly suggest applicants make in our process, but we also find that it significantly contributes to to every application getting through process as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
All right.
Got a question asking about experience. So someone is currently working in a hospital. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me change this. If they are not currently working in a hospital, but passed NCLEX, is there an opportunity?
The answer is yes. Of course, the answer is yes. And the answer is it depends, right? So having passed NCLEX, excellent, fantastic, right? Not, as I said at the outset, not currently working in a hospital can mean you've not currently been working in a hospital for 6 months or 15 years, right? It makes a difference. So if you have nursing experience in your background, we can assist. Now, not all applicants are going to be able to be considered for every position, but if you have meaningful nursing experience, even if it's somewhat in the past, we would welcome the opportunity of considering your application. But if you've not been in a nursing position for 6 or 8 or 10 years, please don't have the expectation that you're going to start in the Johns Hopkins ICU unit, because that is not reality. We welcome your application. If you're an NCLEX passer, we'd love to consider your application on a case-by-case basis. So please don't hesitate to respond. Tracy, we're running a bit over time here, and I appreciate everybody has faithfully stayed online with us. Maybe if we can take one more question for Rachell Allen, and then we'll start to wrap up our session, just to be respectful of everyone's time.
You got it. I'm looking at the chat here, and I've seen a couple questions related to this subject, and while it does mention NCLEX, you may want to answer this one, Ron, but I'm going to throw this question out to everybody, and here it is. I see this question a lot, and it is related to nurse aides asking about NCLEX. So here's the question. If I write the NCLEX as a nurse aide in the USA, do I still need to write IELTS or any English language exam?
So the short answer to that question is no, you do not, because you will be entering the United States on the basis of an immigration petition to have you begin working as a nurse aide. That is also one of the advantages of our nurse aide program. So you will not have to write IELTS or TOEFL to get into the United States, but you may still need to write IELTS or TOEFL depending upon the RN licensure requirements in the state where you are applying for licensure. I'll turn it over to our friends at Rachell Allen just to talk a little bit about IELTS prep.
So IELTS preparation is, we do it online also. So wherever you are in the world, we can do that. And the IELTS preparation, we already mentioned earlier, the required band score, which is 6.5 overall and 7 for speaking. So we do one-on-one so that we make sure that you gain that required band score, and which afterward you can easily apply for your visa screen. Okay, so I hope I was able to answer that.
Yeah, well, very good. Jeffrey, it's been good to see you again. Thank you for being part of this presentation today, Dr. Pica. A pleasure as always. Tracy and team, thank you for your support. And most importantly, thank you to each and every one of you that has taken the time out of your day to join us today. I hope that some of the information that has been shared, even if it's just one fact or one little item, is going to be helpful to you. Collectively, our encouragement to you is to invest in yourself, prepare yourself, and don't settle for just any opportunity. Make sure that you are putting yourself in the position to pursue and to obtain the very, very best opportunity for you and your family's future. Thank you, everyone. Be on the lookout for the email that will share with you a recording of this presentation. You'll get it within about 24 hours from now. And please feel free to share that link or that email with your friends and colleagues that may benefit from this information as well. Thank you again. We look forward to a further webinar session in the near future. In the meantime, please reach out directly to Rachell Allen. Please reach out directly to WorldWide HealthStaff. We continue to have a live recruiter on standby if you would like to connect with them. Thank you all. Have a good day. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.